Hello, hello, hello. It is wonderful, wonderful tonight. I took a bath with calcium bentonite clay. It was fantastic. Outside watching the stellar jaybirds come over and look at me, and they were drinking some water from that fish table. We have a fish table. We don't cut fish on that, but we have that to wash a lot of stuff with kaolin clay, which we have here on this property. We have dark brown kaolin clay, and that washes everything. That my husband doesn't want to believe it, but it washes everything, and it's completely eco-friendly. It's fantastic. So that's why I have the table out there hooked up to hoses, and I wash almost everything that I need to wash with that kaolin clay, with that real deep and amazing kaolin clay, and it washes everything real clean. I wash my hands in there, and the birds love it because they get this fresh water that puddles up on the table. I got an ocean rock. It's very nice. It's a very nice color. I don't know if this shows. It looks more yellow in the video than it is, so it's a pastel gray-green, similar to my t-shirt. It's fantastic. I absolutely love that color. Gorgeous. It's gorgeous with amazing indentations in it. Has been tumbling in the ocean for millions of years. And then they wash up on shore, and we can pick them up and bring them home. Amazing, amazing rocks. Absolutely love it. Hello, 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 hello. It's easy going. We are chilling. So I want to make an easygoing, chilling video with a warm heart, not a chilling heart. Yes, that is true. This looks also a little bit like my artwork. It's amazing, absolutely gorgeous. Looks like a Henry Moore sculpture. The artist, famous artist from the United States, Henry Moore, made amazing sculptures. Gorgeous, just like the driftwood and the ocean rocks washed on shore. Very organic, the shape, and also the colors. Fantastic. It's very vast, very expansive, very expanding, proliferating into infinity. That's why I love that so much. I love that looking into the sky or the night sky and knowing that it just keeps going. Yeah. It just keeps on going. There is no limit to anything. There's no limit to time, to past, to future, and matter and energy and space. So it's amazing. It's wonderful. It's really wonderful. I don't know why that scares some people. It's wonderful. It's amazing. And I want to bring this to the world, this, you just float, just float. You don't need to smoke one to do that. Some people think they need to do that. It's not necessary. You drink a watermelon blend, you go into a bathtub outside, you put a cup of calcium bentonite clay into it and fill it with hot water, 100 degrees or 102 Fahrenheit, and just lean back in that bathtub and drink the watermelon blend juice or any kind of fruit blend while you're in the tub, and really, really enjoy while you're soaking. Enjoy that. Or go to hot springs. There's so many wild hot springs in the United States or around the whole globe. My mother, when she was in the rehab for her hip, she had to have hip surgery done. That was several years ago. And she went to this rehab facility where they had natural hot spring water in that facility. It's one of those very, very old hot spring bath communities in Germany, and I think every one of those natural hot spring communities, the hot springs are pumped to rehab facilities for people that had to have joints replaced with metal joints. So, or anyone, who has problems like this, they can first try the hot spring bath. If they have any kind of joint inflammation, and that will heal it actually. So I highly recommend to people. And if they had surgery, the hot spring baths speed up the healing process. And my mother enjoyed that very much. So that is the present from the infinite cosmos for us. But I recommend to people to always try holistic. Try holistic first and see what happens. So quit all the bad stuff and the inflammation will go away. So that's how it works. It really does. Quit the meat, quit the animal products, quit any kind of cream and milk. Quit that all. I know it's hard for people to change anything. But if you do, you don't have to go under the knife. That'll be a lot better. A lot better. Do everything holistic. And then things will heal and get well on their own. The body is an infinitely powerful healing machine. Infinitely powerful, intelligent organism. Intelligent, not just the brain, but the whole body. The whole body is intelligent and constantly repairs itself. But we have to help the body, We have to help by not putting terrible things or poisons or pesticides or any of this anymore into our systems. Because when we take all the toxins out of our lifestyle, then the bodies can do their work, can do their healing work. That's how it works. I also had a thought earlier, thinking about why there are so many children now born in between the genders. And in 1989, in a Psychologie heute magazine, Psychology Today, the German version of it, they had this article on embryonic developmental stagnation during the 3 months of fetal development in utero while the gender is forming. And so when something goes wrong during that time, and they attributed stress to it because they did tests on rats, which is unethical, and they found out that when the rats become overpopulated, the females are giving birth to gay rats. I mean, it's true. It's not a joke. You know, people make jokes about this, but yeah, rats that are in between the genders. Okay, so because of stress during pregnancy, yeah, it's not good. Causes developmental stagnation in the embryo. It can causes stagnation, not just for the gender formation, but other things as well, like the limbic system, like all kinds of things that are developing. That's the most delicate and critical phase of an individual's growing process are the 9 months in utero for humans. For dogs, I heard it's 6 months, but I might be wrong. So it's not as not as long. So it's much shorter pregnancy. So lots of things. During the Chernobyl disaster, that was in '89, I think. That was horrific. It was absolutely horrific. They reported animals giving birth to babies with they look like spider deer, like they had like many more limbs than like 6 or 8 limbs, like the goddess Lakshmi. And in India there was a girl born with, I think, also with 8 or like 4 arms and 8 legs, or 4 legs or something like this. And then they all thought that was the reincarnation of Lakshmi, of course. And maybe she was in order to bring the message across that says, stop religion, stop this incessant religiousness. We come back in that form that will directly teach us. That's what's happening. It's a learning process. We're all part of this learning process that's ongoing. And they had her excess limbs operated off, and so that she could at all walk a little bit. It's very difficult. What a horrible existence. That too is a part of the school, that learning process, and it's there to teach the world something. That love is more important than religion. That we should never, ever play around with nature. Never use nuclear power plants, and never, ever deal with something like this. That's that dangerous. Radiation leads to those kind of abnormalities. So, and during the 3rd month of gender development, when there's too much stress in the mother, then that can cause a developmental stagnation. So then they will be stuck in between somewhere. Because what happens is they start out, I talked about this before, they start all out as females, sort of. And then, but like a pre-female sort of state. And then out of that, depending on the release of hormones, the different body parts are starting to grow, or they grow into this or into that. So it's very hard for all of these individuals. Very, very difficult. I feel terribly sorry for them. It's awful. So you can consider yourself infinitely lucky and grateful if you are either completely female or completely male. And I'm infinitely grateful for being completely female. Man, I'm infinitely grateful. I can't say that often enough. What I see on the internet, the struggle, the horrific pain that these people are going through, the psychological pain and all of this. I like Jeffree Star. I like what he brings to the world in this respect. And every one of them is different, and it's probably very difficult to say, oh, you can, just because he does it better doesn't mean the other person can do it just as well. So I'm not judging on that. So I don't know what it's like to be in those people's situations. But Jeffree Star brings something to the world, something very important. He's an angel soul. He said he is neither woman nor man. He considers himself to be an alien, and I love that. It's very artistic. And he doesn't go under the knife. He's not gonna have a gender change operation done. He loves himself the way he is, his body the way his body is, his brain the way his brain is, somewhere in between the genders. And he loves himself just like that. Yeah, he's gay, and he is, one could say, in the category of transvestite, cross-dressing and enjoying his life. And he has a boyfriend, and they love each other deeply, and it's wonderful how they found each other. And he loves himself just like that. He's not coveting something. He's not there jealous of women that are able to give birth. And he loves himself for whom he is. He's Jeffree, Jeffree Star. He's a star. His star seed, an angel soul. And he has a message for the world. And the message is, it doesn't matter how you look like. It doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter how your brain is. You can make the best out of it without coveting, without going under the knife, without becoming this particular existence that you're coveting. And when people go under the knife, it never is the real thing. So men trying to become women, they will never be a real woman. It's a lie. They lie to themselves. And it's not fair. It's also not fair to the boyfriends that they are trying to trick them. It's not fair to them. So, and it's a lie, and it causes even more feelings of devastation because they know it's a lie deep down, and they want to kid themselves. Don't lie to yourselves. When I see trans couples where they find each other. They shouldn't have children. Because no one should have children. No one should have children, whether they're straight or gay or trans. So, but I see some videos of where the woman wants to become a man and the man wants to become a woman, but they didn't have the operation done, or they didn't have it done yet, and so they find each other. So that happens occasionally. So, and when they find each other, and when it's like when it's like a real, not just a physical attraction, but they're these people, they experience the mental attraction much more than the physical attraction. So when they meet each other, when they meet their soulmate, their real soulmate, then that's real love. It's real connection. That's a real energetic, mental connection. They have a lot in common. They share the same pain. They comfort each other. And I think that's a wonderful thing. But just, my message again to people is don't have kids. So then they have kids where the woman who took testosterone and developed a deep voice and facial hair, and then they put a video out there. Husband gave birth. No, she's not. She's not the husband. She's still the wife. And the man is still the man. He's not a woman, even though he does drag shows and dresses up and looks pretty and everything. But and the man is like, oh, this one couple, the man is like almost 2 feet taller than the woman, but the woman still wants to act like she's the man, and the tall guy still wants to act like he's the woman, and then she gave birth, and he said he was jealous because he feels like the woman, and he thinks he's supposed to be the one who should experience this. And that is not good. That's I know I can understand must all be extremely confusing and painful, but we need to love our bodies for what they are. Really. This is a school. Life is a school. Don't fixate yourself on this. That's what I'm trying to say. Whoever people are, whether they're women, full women, but they don't like their bodies, so they go under the knife to have their curves boosted up, or their face injected. It's painful for me to see this. Very, very painful. It's very painful, all of this. So I would like to help, because your lives could be so much easier if you went into meditation. I understand that it must be very, very hard for some people. I'm not judging you, but I'm just trying to help. What I want to offer is, look at people like Jeffree Star, who embraces himself, as an alien and as neither this nor that, and someone who loves himself, loves his body just the way it is, and makes the best out of it. Not just the best, but makes something stellar out of it, literally. And I think that we all can do this. You don't have to go under the knife. I saw this unimaginably beautiful redhead girl. Oh my gosh. I found her videos. I don't know. It was on the side recommended. I like to watch psychology, psychiatry, and medical videos. So this one video popped up on the side of this, I see this really gorgeous redhead man. So I clicked the video, and turns out that she is a woman transitioning to become a man. And, you know, I can already say he because the voice is like really, really deep. She's been taking a lot of testosterone, injecting that into her leg. Awful, horrific, painful, awful bad. And it's just self-mutilation. And then I go on her channel and I look at older videos. Or I was watching some videos and then a much, much older video from her popped up on the side. And that's not the same person. That's not the same person. I've never ever seen such a drastic transformation in any of these. So they're all going through drastic transformations with that testosterone in particular. But that redhead girl, my gosh. I mean, she's so gorgeous. She was so gorgeous as a woman. And she still is you don't become a man. I mean, you can't. It's a lie. But she was so incredibly gorgeous before she started to take the testosterone and do all these things and work out in the gym like this. And so she was so gorgeous. I mean, like one of the most gorgeous women I've ever seen, with real long hair all the way to the butt, at the hairdresser, and had the hairdresser cut the hair all off. Painful, yeah, makes me cry. And then what she's doing, I mean, the hair, that's the least bad thing. The testosterone and the surgery, that's the worst. That's really the worst. What a horrible thing. Why can't you just be you? Stay that beautiful woman that you are. Why? Why mutilate yourself? So sad. So infinitely sad. Or the men out there, you stay like this, stay the way you are. You can grow long hair, You can take good care of your body and hair and do the same beauty routines that women do, the fasting but don't mutilate yourself, please. Please don't do it. Love yourself the way you are. So important. Oh gosh, it's so infinitely important. So, and because of this, because I know that this is self-mutilation, I am against it. And I am against any kind of funding for that. So that's just, that goes too far. That's wrong. Okay. We need funding for therapy. And I'm not saying this like a fundamentalist would see it from his perspective. I know that this happens during the embryonic development. But love yourself the way you are. I know it's difficult, but this life here is a school, okay? And straight women have their own nitpicking going on. They have their own body image issues, and their coveting and their jealousies, and they wish they had this or that what the other woman has, or the German women covered what the black women have, and vice versa. And there's this constant. I once went to a Shiseido makeup tutorial in LA, And there's this Middle Eastern lady sitting next to me with this beautiful, beautiful, pouty, large mouth. And I look at her and I say, "Your mouth is so beautiful and gorgeous." And she says with a real depressed voice, she said, "Well, I guess we always want what the other person has." We're never happy with what we have. And I said, "Well, yeah, that is a very sad reality indeed. Very, very sad. So love yourself the way you are. Some people like what you have. They wish they had it. So from any kind of group of people or ethnicity or however people are formed and however they're born, and we need to make the best out of it and love ourselves. That's so important. That's more important than anything else. Love yourself. Some people have it very hard. There are people that have little hands coming out of the shoulder. I've met one. She's very miserable and very grumpy and unhappy. Yeah, it's awful, awful miserable. But we can still make the best out of it. There are other people where the mother took that Kontergan, this I forgot the name now in English. Kontergan was the name of that medication, I think during the 40s and 50s. And so there's a lot of late boomers, that people in their 50s and 60s and 70s that have those deformations because the mother was taking an angiostatin. That's the name. That's the Latin name for that. I don't know how they call that actual medication, but the medication is an angiostatin, and that means it stagnates the cell proliferation. And when she takes that while she's pregnant, then she stagnates the baby's cell proliferation, the cell differentiation process where the arms are forming and the legs. That's what that is. Monstrous. And then that person has to live with that, for I don't know how long, 80, 100 years. So if they're very unlucky, yeah, that's what I mean. But yeah, this is why I make these videos. It doesn't matter how we look, or how rough the start is, or the situation is. We can make the best out of it. We really can. It's absolutely possible. It's doable. We can do it. But most people don't know how to do it, because there are people that are actually very lucky with what they have, but they're still jealous. They still feel victimized and all of that's totally in the head. That's because of psychological trauma, which is also bad. It's equally bad. And psychological trauma is the worst, of course, because someone that has a deformation and has psychological trauma, then they will blame everything on the deformation, not even knowing that it is actually the psychological trauma. So that's what I'm trying to bring out in my videos, that people understand that everything is really in our heads, and that we can make the best out of any situation. And this lifetime is not the last lifetime. You'll be reborn in all kinds of different forms. And you can choose. You can choose to be reborn in this or that shape. And then check it out and see how it goes. And see if it's all true, what you interpret into it. Maybe there's a hardship on its own that you haven't foreseen. And it's these kind of things that we are checking out and learning from. It's a school. Every lifetime is a school, and it's actually, if we look at it from the right angle, it's pretty amazing. That school it can be painful, but we go through. It's what Jitta Krishnamurti said. If we don't resist the the painful parts of it, the sadness or the jealousy, whatever comes up, if we don't resist it, if we don't put a lid on it, and if we let it take its course in meditation, and you feel it and breathe it, feel that jealousy, don't run away from it, don't numb it away with drugs or loud noises, but really feel. That's why a lot of people are afraid. They're afraid when the sun goes down and it gets dark, and when it becomes more quiet, because in silence and in less visual stimulation, which happens during the day because of the daylight, so when that lets off at night, if you don't turn real bright lights on, then the retina relaxes and the brain relaxes, because there's not so much visual stimuli coming into the brain. And also the sounds, in nature, they settle, the birds go to bed. As soon as the sun goes down, the birds become quiet, they go to sleep. And so, unless we're in a big city, then, the noises never stop. But if you're in nature, the sun settles and it becomes dark outside, the birds stop singing, they go to sleep, and you sit down, and then your brain can recover. But what happens when we have been traumatized is that our pain, because we're no longer putting something on top of the pain, with the stimulation and the running away from the pain, so then the pain can unfold and can come up and talk to us. And that's kind of like a ghost, sort of, is kind of symbolic for this. That's why people are so afraid of ghosts, because they are afraid of their own pain coming up. And a ghost, I've never seen a ghost, but I have heard some pretty scary things, even from my atheist husband. So I know this kind of stuff is there. I know that there's a lot going on that we don't see, and when we get real tired or sleepy, or like half asleep, then sometimes we can see something like that. So it doesn't hurt you. It's not there to hurt you. There's energies all the time around us, everywhere, during the day too. We don't see it. People who take hallucinogenic drugs, they disable the discrimination ribbon in the brain that is there to filter all of this out, so that we can walk about our lives without interruptions, without going completely insane. So people who take the drugs, they disable the discrimination ribbon. Okay, this has been proven scientifically. And I was wondering, how does that Dr. Hendrik Emmerich feel about this? He's probably very hardcore scientific, How does he feel about that outcome? It's like, that really knocks away any kind of like old school physics, Newtonian physics, and all of that. That's very interesting, So that brings us to David Icke, basically. That's what he's been talking about. There's energies around us, we just don't see it because it gets filtered out. It would be an overload for the brain to take all of that in. But if you just disable the discrimination ribbon, which is there for a reason, and you take hallucinogenic drugs, then suddenly you see all of that. What's there, what's already floating around. But the ghosts are not, they're not there to scare you. They come there because they resonate with something in your own past. They resonate, like is attracted to like. We are in terms of energy, not sexually, that's exactly reversed. So we are attracted as a friend, as comfort friendship to those that appear similar with similar problems and all of this. So ghosts too, the ghost will go, oh, there is someone that can understand me. So I'll come to her and I'm gonna ask her a bunch of questions. And I go, kiddos, I'm tired. Let me sleep, okay? I'll answer those questions tomorrow. I'm too tired for this now. I can't see him. My discrimination ribbon is working well, but I can sense it. I can sense it energetically. So I'm psychic enough for that. And it's not easy. It's very, very difficult. It's very difficult to be psychic. It's not an easy life at all. You see way too much. You see more than you can handle psychologically. But on the other side, on the flip side, you learn a lot and you have lots of intuition. And that also helps you to protect yourself, of course. So everything has two sides to the coin. So, and we need to learn to work with both sides of that coin and not just take the good side and run off with it. You can't. We have to work with both sides. That's that school of life. And so don't be afraid. Don't be afraid of the ghosts, and don't be afraid of the dark, and don't be afraid of your inner child and your emotional pain that just wants to talk to you, that wants to say, hey, there's a memory in the bathroom and there are white tiles and it was painful and you saw something painful and someone was abusive, and maybe it was someone that you trusted, someone who was supposed to be there for you so that you could trust him. And that's very, very painful. That is so painful that people will do all kinds of emotional somersaults to get out of it. They'll put a religion as a bathtub stopper on it. They put all kinds of things over it because they don't want to see it. Some people drown it out with alcohol. Some people drown it out with all kinds of things. Food, drugs, all kinds of things. All kinds of act outs, endorphin cycle act outs, and so on. It's not gonna. That's not going anywhere. We need to silence everything. We need to let that pain talk to us. Okay. It's very important to do this. We have no other choice, and that is the inwardness process. We have no other choice other than to do it. So, yeah, that's what I want to give to the world. Okay, you guys take care.